Hey everyone, so this is our second video about doing basic sketching in Autodesk Inventor. As you can see, I'm in my first home page here, and like before, I'm going to start off by starting a new part. I'm going to pick the part tool, new part button straight from here in the new section here. Just click on that one. Alright, we're now into the new part. As before, I'm going to need to start a new 2D sketch in this new part file. So I'm going to go up here onto my toolbar ribbon up the top here. I'm going to pick Start 2D Sketch, which is in the sketch palette there, and I'm going to select the plane, and we're going to go back again with the XY plane, and remembering that our XY plane has an X-axis running horizontally, Y-axis running vertically, and this is how all the different parts of our drawing get positioned. Now, first thing I'm going to do in this drawing is I'm going to add in all the lines for the basic shape of my gasket. Now at this point, remembering that I could add in my dimensions now, but I could add them in later. I think in this case I'm going to add some of them in now. So I'm going to do my first 20mm dimension there up from my origin point. The reason I've put that dimension in first, I'm just going to move this down the screen. The reason I've added that dimension in, started on this line, this one happens to be the bottom left-hand line of the main part of the gasket, is so that we can have an origin point that we can work back to. So I'm just going to go out for the other parts of this bit at random amounts, so that I'm not actually dictating my measurements at all at the moment. I'm just going ahead and putting anything in because it doesn't matter too much at the moment. I've just got to have a drawing that's mostly like the intended one. And last line here, just from that point back to there. I'm also going to go ahead and add in a little rectangle that happens to be in this gasket. It's got a hole through the gasket, just like that. And there we go. It looks something like Gasket 2 does on the drawing. Now at this point here, I need to go ahead and add in all my dimensions and my constraints. Now if I look at my drawing, this line here, this one here, and this one here all need to be 20mm long. Now I could go ahead and I could use the dimension tool to dimension all of them, or I can go ahead and use my equal tool, and that way I'm just copying the dimension from this line to the others. And that one's saying it's going to over constrain. That's alright, we'll go to another line. So we'll go up to this one here. So now those two are equal, and I also need this middle line to be equal too, so I'll match that from there as well. So as you can see, I've started to get more blue lines in my sketch here, showing me that I've got fully constrained lines. Now, the other thing I need to dimension on here is this front part here, as well as the overall length and this rectangle in the middle, because I need to tell the drawing where this rectangle has to be within this entire sketch. So I'm going to start adding in a couple more dimensions now. I'm going to start with this front tab here, which is in the sketch 30mm long, so I've just added that dimension there. Alright, and I need to probably go ahead and dimension the length of this line from the outer of my gasket here. So if I have a look at my sketch, that's 60mm in length inwards. So I'm going to go ahead and select that distance and make that 60mm. As you can see there, it's pushed that end out rather than bringing it in, or bringing this end this way. And that's to do with where I clicked first, second. Next, I need to put in the length of the overall gasket from this shoulder here, or this end here, to this back end. Click on that first line again, front one, and we'll make this 90mm. So you can see down my bottom right hand corner, my dimensions have been going down. Originally it was up around the 10 dimensions needed, now we're down to 4 dimensions needed. And realistically, looking at this sketch, all these lines are now purple. There's probably nothing I need to do to that outer area now, it's just this middle section which needs to be finished. I'm going to click off my dimension tool. I'm just going to add some general amounts onto some constraints onto this central area here. So I'm going to start with an equal constraint between these two faces. Oh, I don't need to do that. That will over constrain my sketch. Perhaps I will go to those dimensions for now. So let's go ahead and give this one a height. And looking at my sketch, it will need to be 40mm. So in there, so that gives it the length needs. It's also 10 millimeters from left to right, so we'll add that dimension in as well. There. And we're almost there, although it's a little bit skew if it's not quite in the middle. There's a couple of ways we can do this. We can either dimension it out from the outside of the initial gasket, or we could set it as a symmetrical item within the gasket. Now in the case of this drawing, because we don't have a center line down the middle here, I'm going to go ahead and use a dimension here. So I'll dimension it from this outside edge here. For my drawing, it is 10 millimeters in. Right, so I'm almost positioned in exactly where I need to be now. The last little bit I need to do is its dimension from the outside edge here. Looking at my drawing, there is actually a center line through the middle of this on the drawing, which is 15 millimeters. Now that tells me that it needs to be 10 millimeters from the outer shoulder. Now, I'm just going to drag it right out here so it's easy to see. 10 millimeters there, and you can see now that my sketch is fully constrained. Now, remembering that fully constrained, the idea here is that every sketch we do needs to be fully constrained, so that whenever we do any 3D modeling on that object, around, or we're able to do fillets and so on, which we'll learn more about soon. Now, just to show that it is fully constrained, I'm going to try and pull some of these lines out of the way. I cannot move any of this sketch. It is fully constrained. There is no way of changing it now. Well, I could certainly change it, but there's certainly no way that it's going to change itself. Now let's just have a look at the constraints that have come up on the sketch now. So I'm going to highlight the entire area here. We can see we do have a lot of perpendicular constraints, alright, on corners, and as I hover over them, they show me where those are. Alright, I've got my equal constraint there for that 20 millimeters, and the same here. More perpendicular constraints and a couple of vertical constraints there as well. So that's all the constraints on this entire drawing, and it's also fixed back to that main starting point, the origin point there. So that's the Gasket 2 sketching operations. I'll go ahead and just turn my constraints off now, and I'm all done. When I'm finished, I need to remember that I need to click Finish Sketch up here on the top ribbon. Alright, I'm just going to back out and put it into view that I can see there. And now I would go ahead and I'd save my file, remembering to do that up here on the eye. Click on the eye, click Save, alright, and then save it to your student folder. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this is helpful for you.